Now, just a brief update on the Don Lemon criminal case. Now, let's go to the new docket entries for this week. So, it's a continuation from last week of processing the new defendants. Now, 30 new defendants were added to the case 2 weeks ago. Bench warrants were executed and returned. The defendants were brought into court. Now, attorneys were appointed to represent each defendant. Release conditions were set. Now, for the new defendants, apparently the only condition of release is to stay away from City's church, and that's according to this chart, okay, which was included as an exhibit to a motion filed by the federal public defender. The motion he filed is the only new filing that caught my attention this week. Now, the federal public defender represents this individual, William Scott Kelly, a.k.a. DaWokeFarmer. Now, we recall his crazy and threatening behavior at City's church. Now, here's a short clip.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you?
So, the public defender filed this motion to modify his conditions of release. The attorney is asking that Kelly be treated like the 30 new defendants added to the case, with the only release condition being that he stay away from City's church. Now, the attorney says in the motion that defendant Kelly is the only defendant required to submit to a mental health assessment if his pretrial services officer decides he needs one. Now, he has to be supervised by pretrial services as a condition of release, just like the two leaders identified in the case, Nikema Levy Armstrong and Chantel Allen. Now, Kelly's release conditions also include if he receives a traffic citation or has any type of contact with law enforcement, he has to report it to pretrial services within 72 hours. He had to surrender his passport as well. He's not allowed to leave the country. He cannot travel outside Minnesota without approval, and he has to reside at an approved address. So the federal public defender is asking the judge to modify Kelly's release conditions to be less burdensome. Now let's go back to the chart. Okay, so we noticed that of the initial group of 9 defendants, including Don Lemon, only the first 3 defendants are given burdensome conditions of release. Now, the other 6, including Lemon, had their release conditions modified according to the chart. Now they have no conditions on their release. Now, in contrast, the two leaders, Nikema Levy Armstrong and Chantel Allen, initially were jailed. Now, the U.S. attorney wanted to keep them in jail until the trial, but they've been released. And now, according to the chart, their release conditions are even less burdensome than Kelly's. Now, looking at this chart, it's clear that Kelly is viewed as the most potentially dangerous defendant based on the potential mental health assessment, although he's not been required to submit to a mental evaluation yet, not that I'm aware of. And, of course, based on the prohibition on possessing a firearm or other dangerous weapon. And according to the chart, he's also the greatest potential flight risk. For example, he had to surrender his passport. No one else still has that condition imposed. He has to reside at an approved address, presumably within Minnesota. Okay, the U.S. attorney opposes the modification of Kelly's release conditions, and so do we all, rationally speaking. Now, here's Kelly's GoFundMe page. He's raised over $120,000. Now, of course, he wants his release conditions modified because apparently he wants to attend more protests across the country. Now, he's even protested at Pete Hegseth's church in Washington, D.C., for example, where it's been reported that Kelly was screaming at children who attended the church. In Minneapolis as well, the videos that he himself recorded show him screaming at children. Now, the U.S. Attorney's response to the motion discusses the indictment in which Kelly is described as confronting children, saying to them, "Do you know your parents are Nazis? They're going to burn in hell." Now, as for the possibility of a mental health evaluation, the indictment describes how Kelly went to the church and screamed it was the house of the devil. Now, he screamed Nazi in people's faces. Now, that's all in the indictment. Now, let's watch a bit more of the video he recorded.
You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on.
Okay, so there he was yelling at a child, despite the fact that he's complaining that these churchgoers aren't protesting against children in concentration camps, allegedly. Now, during the defendant's takeover of City's church, someone broke an arm in all the commotion, and now this defendant wants to be permitted to carry a firearm or other dangerous weapon. I mean, it's crazy. We all know that. So, why did the defense attorney file this motion? Now, in my view, the defendant's release conditions aren't all that burdensome. He's not jailed pending trial, so why was this motion filed? Now, I'm speculating here. Could be a number of reasons. Now, one, the defense attorney states in the motion that the defendant believes it's just coincidental that the first three defendants taken into custody had and continue to have the most burdensome release conditions. The attorney says he's filing the motion to correct what seems to be an oversight. Well, was it an oversight? Now, the U.S. attorney's response to the motion says that is wrong. And I described earlier why the U.S. attorney wants to keep this defendant on a tether. Now, second reason, the defense attorney wants to elicit more information about the U.S. attorney's strategy with respect to defendant Kelly. And the U.S. attorney's response to the motion says Kelly is being treated differently. It seems to me the U.S. attorney views him as more dangerous and more of a potential flight risk. So these two reasons, these two factors, help the defense attorney understand the government's case and intentions toward the defendant. He's not viewed as one of the leaders of the conspiracy, but he's indeed one of the most energetic. Now, in my view, and this is just my view, based on defendant Kelly's conduct, which is on video, it would be a routine matter to get a conviction. And that's true of all the defendants who are on video harassing and intimidating churchgoers. Now, based on the video, as I watch the video, it looks to me that defendant Kelly does need mental health counseling of some sort. Now, all the defendants, all of them, hate ICE and they hate immigration enforcement. We realize that. But most people don't air out their political grievances by threatening and harassing other people, churchgoers, who may have no opinion about immigration enforcement or who choose to defer to their elected officials. Now, given the facts in the case, Kelly's release conditions don't seem unduly burdensome and are imposed for the safety of the community and to ensure that he appears for the trial. Now, the judge might remove some of the release conditions or require a proffer for the mental health evaluation, which has not been ordered yet that I know about. So maybe a proffer won't even be required since the mental health evaluation hasn't been ordered yet. And if it is ordered, the pretrial services officer could testify as to why he or she ordered the evaluation. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.